watching Daytime Tea Time with Candice. It's time to pour this tea, stir this tea, and sip this tea. Let's get right into it. Alright you guys, we're about to talk about the ladies from The Real and the senseless mass shooting at the Borderline Bar and Grill Wednesday night, November 7th, 2018 in Thousand Oaks, California. This senseless mass shooting claimed the lives of 12 people. The shooter has been identified as 28-year-old Ian David Long. He is an ex-United States veteran who served in Afghanistan with the Marines. Ian David Long, the ex-United States veteran, committed a domestic terrorist attack at this country music bar, which this particular night was hosting College Night. The bar was filled with college students, and among those students was Tamara Mori Housley's niece, Elena Housley. Elena Housley was 18 years old, and she was the youngest among the 12 people who were killed during this mass shooting. This was the 307th mass shooting in the United States this year. At the time of the shooting, only 311 days had passed. 307 shootings out of 311 days is absolutely ridiculous. The 12 families of those who lost their lives during this Thousand Oaks shooting continue to grieve and mourn the loss of their loved ones. While Tamara Mori Housley grieves the loss of her niece, Elena Housley, Tamara's co-hosts on The Real, Jeannie, Lonnie, and Adrian, stepped up and they discussed this issue on their show. Lonnie described the night in detail when she received the call from Tamara about her niece being one of the 12 who were killed in this mass shooting. Adrian cried as she read a special message from Tamara to Lonnie thanking her for being there for her and the Housley family. And Jeannie Mai also cried, but more in frustration over the entire situation of mass shootings. The entire episode was very sad, very heartbreaking, but it also became controversial when the conversation got moved to social media. Jeannie Mai and Tamara Mori Housley actually had to defend themselves and clap back at some very disrespectful people commenting on their Instagram post. Tamara recently did an interview with her husband and his brother, who is the father of Elena Housley. After this interview, Tamara posted a comment that she got from a person who called her a coon. Now, Tamara has since deleted this post, but basically she was showing a lot of the hate that she has gotten during this situation. I'm gonna do a separate video on this, but I just want to show you guys what Tamara showed us. Now, right now, I want to talk about Miss Jeannie Mai. Jeannie Mai was very frustrated during the taping of this episode of The Real. She was crying. She was very frustrated with the fact that after these mass shootings continue to happen, technically all we do is pray and send our condolences. She got to the point where she said she's done praying. She doesn't want to only pray. She wants some actions to be done. And she ended up making a very controversial statement, basically bringing to everybody's attention that the majority of these mass shootings are being committed by white men. Jeannie Mai was confronted about this statement, and she clapped back to explain what she meant when she brought up the fact that the mass shootings are committed by white men. First, I want you guys to check out this clip, and then I want you guys to see what Jeannie Mai had to say about it.
Because I can't, as an avid prayer, I can't pray anymore. I can't. Because I will stop praying, but also on top of prayer, add the change that needs to happen.
And this is the change that we need to have.
Yeah.
This is the change.
The bigger question is, why are people doing this? What is wrong with us?
Not just why are people? Why is it always a white male? That's just something that's on my mind. Why?
I hate that race has to come into it. It is a very real question to ask, because if you read the statistics, it is what it is. I hate the idea that we keep bringing up race and everything feels so divisive. But yes, you are stating the facts, but it feels like we are being torn apart in so many different directions, whether it be what political party you are, what race you are. There's like hatred just in the air. It's thick. It feels disgusting. It feels terrible. People are dying. People are losing their children. It's unfair. So what do we do? Does it start with the people? Does it start with the core of our hearts? We need to call on Jesus or something, because it's crazy.
Alright you guys, you saw that. Jeannie Mai was very upset and she posed the question, why is it always a white male? Adrian then agreed that the statistics do show that most of the people who commit these mass shootings are white men. But Adrian also said that she wishes it didn't have to be about race. Well, a few fans got into Jeannie Mai's comment section on Instagram and they talked about the fact that they were upset by Jeannie Mai's comment. But before I show you those comments and Jeannie Mai's reply to them, I would like to show you guys the statistics that Jeannie Mai was speaking of. Okay, so this is some research that I have done. This is from various different sources over various different years. And as you can see, white is the race of the majority of mass shootings. And as you can see by gender, males are the highest percentage of mass shootings. Like I mentioned, there's many different sources that you guys can go to see these specific statistics. Many different sources have different numbers, but the majority has always been white from where I researched. Y'all can research for yourselves. I'm just showing y'all what I found. But looking specifically from this year of 2018, you can see that white is the race with the highest percentage of mass shootings. And the percentage of mass shootings perpetrators by gender, you can see that males have 97% of that. So when Jeannie Mai said, "Why is it always white men?" this is what she was speaking of. In my personal opinion, I think that she had a bad choice of words because she said, "Why is it always white men?" It's clearly not always white men, but it is mostly white men. So let's be clear. I think most people understood what Jeannie Mai was talking about, but of course, I also understand why some were offended. So let me show you some of the comments that were made under her Instagram post, and I'm gonna show you her responses to them. Okay, so this one person said, "At Jeannie Mai, I wanna start by saying I do enjoy watching you on The Real, and I love to see you on other projects, but I must comment on your comment today on The Real. Everything said brought tears to my eyes, but it blew me away when you said, how come every shooter is a white male? What are you saying? That's terrible to even bring race into this horrible topic. And no, 307 were not all white. And if the majority were Asian or black shooters instead of white, you would never ever say such a thing. Ever. Don't be racist. Focus on the problem. Gun control. Mental health, not being a white male." Jeannie Mai commented back saying, "No, I'm going to speak my mind, and that is absolutely something I'm concerned about. Why is it that statistically speaking, we see white men overrepresented in these shootings? I'm not blaming a race as a whole, I am simply pointing out facts. If we're going to talk about the problem, we must consider every aspect causing it." And another person commented saying, "I just unfollowed you. Your comment about whites killing only was so wrong. Thank God for Adrian for shutting you up on that. Sucks that a white man hurt you so bad you can't see straight anymore. You are part of the problem of all this racism this day and age. I pray for you and I hope you have healing in your heart. As a woman of color, that makes me sick. We should stop blaming race and blame the human that did it." Jeannie Mai responded saying, "I am stating facts. I asked why white men are overrepresented in these incidents and why law enforcement and media are reluctant to profile them for these heinous crimes. Can you answer that?" The woman responded saying, "The truth be told, no one can answer that. Otherwise, we would be able to stop all this senseless killings. But as a woman of color, I don't think you can say it's all white men. I just think that was a rude thing to say. My opinion, not everyone has to agree with me. I chose not to follow you anymore over it. I'm sure you're not losing any sleep on it, nor will I." And then somebody else commented saying, "What you won't do is come for Jeannie Mai for stating facts. Facts don't care about your feelings, sweetheart." Alright you guys, so let's get into my personal opinion. I completely understand why these fans were upset with Jeannie Mai's comment because Jeannie Mai did say, "Why is it always white men?" Now, me personally, I was able to understand what she meant, and I believe she meant, "Why is it mostly white men?" Playing devil's advocate, unfortunately, she did not say that. She said, "Why is it always white men?" So that was her mistake by using the word always. But in Jeannie Mai's comment, you can clearly see what she's trying to say. She says, why are white men overrepresented in these incidents, and why does law enforcement and the media, they are reluctant to profile them for their heinous crimes? And that's a fact, you guys. But before I go any further, I want to make sure all of my subscribers, all of my white subscribers know that I am not trying to offend you. I am just trying to speak up for what I believe Jeannie Mai was trying to say. And what Jeannie Mai was trying to say is a real issue when it comes to media and the way that they cover stories when there is a white man or white person involved versus a person of color. When these men, these white men specifically, are committing these crimes, the media and law enforcement, they handle it so much differently than when they handle it with a black person or a person of color. That's just the facts. The New York Times is the best example that I can think of at the moment. Look at their story when they're covering a person of color who committed a heinous crime. A picture of the black men is the first picture you see at the very top with the title, Mass Shooting at New Jersey Arts Festival Leaves 22 Injured and 1 Dead. This is how the media handles it when a black person kills one person. Pictures of their faces are right at the top with the title telling you exactly what they did. And their first and last names and their ages are right underneath the picture. Now, take a look at how the New York Times actually handled the Thousand Oaks shooter. You will see the first picture is not a picture of him, and the title says, Dueling Images, a smiling young Marine and a killer dressed in black. Their title is basically trying to say, look, he's smiling, he's a Marine. But then on the other hand, he's a killer dressed in black. But they don't show his picture and they don't put his name. You have to scroll all the way through the story just to see a picture of Ian Long, the Thousand Oaks mass shooter, Ian Long, the domestic terrorist, Ian Long. Those are things that need to be said about these people who are committing these crimes in our country. But it seems that the media does not want to portray a white man that way. That's what it seems. There's many other examples of this, you guys. Look it up for yourselves if you don't believe me. Even the rest of the coverage on this specific story never shows his face. It'll show the family grieving and sad. It'll show every other image besides Ian Long's face. Even here you can see there's a picture of the people there and the police car in the background, and then you can see right here it says what we know about the gunman. They won't even call him by his name, Ian Long. They're calling him the gunman. And like I mentioned before, there's no picture of him to show that he is a white man. And that is what Jeannie Mai is referring to when she says law enforcement and the media refuse to profile him. And people like him, white men like him. This is not meant to offend the white people around the world. This is just a fact. Law enforcement and the media are constantly pushing the narrative that only or mostly black and brown people are the ones to be afraid of, when in fact it's all people. Terrorists, killers, they come in all shapes, sizes, and races. But for whatever reason, people want to continue to go with the narrative that when the black man with the hoodie comes into the room, you need to watch your back, instead of realizing that most of these mass shootings are being done by white men. Now, I'm not saying be afraid of white men, but I'm saying don't only be afraid of black men. How about that? And also stop jumping to conclusions and saying maybe these people are mentally ill or have PTSD. And in this particular situation, you guys, with the Thousand Oaks shooting, the shooter, Ian David Long, actually posted on his social media letting us know that he is not mentally ill. In his post, he specifically says, the fact is, I had no reason to do it. Ian Long first posted on his Instagram saying, it's too bad I won't get to see all of the illogical and pathetic reasons people will put in my mouth as to why I did it. Fact is, I had no reason to do it. I just thought, life is boring, so why not? And this is according to ABC News and BuzzFeed. 3 minutes later, he posted saying, I hope people call me insane, and he put 2 smiley face emojis. Would that just be a big ball of irony? Yeah, I'm insane, but the only thing you people do after these shootings is hopes and prayers, or keep me in your thoughts every time and wonder why these keep happening. 2 smiley face emojis, and then he killed himself after typing this on social media. So this man said this out of his own mouth that he has no specific reason for doing this. It was a boring day, so he thought, let me go shoot up the club. And he's making jokes referencing that people are gonna say that he was mentally unstable, but he's saying that he's clearly not. I also did some research, you guys, and it turns out that the police was actually called to his house at one point for a domestic disturbance. And since he was in the military, the authorities assumed that this issue was due to him having PTSD, but he was analyzed and he was cleared of being mentally unstable. Okay, but back to these social media posts that this man made before and during the shootings. This particular piece of evidence has not been covered by the media. At least it hasn't been covered well. I mean, I had to dig around for this information, and I only knew about it because the ladies of The Real discussed it briefly. And that's why Jeannie Mai was so upset, and that's why she made the comment that she made. This was a white man, one of our United States military veterans, who posted on social media saying that there's no specific reason reason why he's doing this, saying that he's not mentally unstable, and it's not being properly reported by the media. And Jeannie Mai is basically saying that she feels like it's because he's white. And I agree with her. I do believe it's because he's white. When white people commit heinous crimes like this, or crimes in general, the media and the authorities just handle them completely different than they handle people of color. And that is what I believe Jeannie Mai was getting at. Yes, she had a wrong choice of words when she said all white men, but what she meant was mostly white men, and that is facts. Google it if you don't believe me. This is a very unfortunate situation. Like I said, my heart goes out to all of the people who were directly affected by this, their family members and everybody, and our country as a whole. I agree with what Adrian was trying to say, where I wish we didn't have to focus on the race of the person or the political party, but unfortunately it is very relevant. And until we're able to have this conversation without people getting so frustrated and offended, no change will be made. We need to talk about this stuff head on, speak the specific details and facts, and we need to work towards gun reform. And that's my personal opinion. But alright y'all, I'm done with this. I want to know what y'all think. Do you think Jeannie Mai was wrong for her statements? Do you understand her statements? And comment below what you think we need to do to prevent all of these mass shootings. Let me know below in the comment section. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'm going to catch you in the next one, alright? Bye.